Now, the symbols that stand for numbers are called numerals. This numeral stands for the number 2, and the numeral itself is also called 2. So the numeral 2 stands for the number 2. In the same way, this numeral stands for the number 3, and the numeral itself is called 3. So the numeral 3 stands for the number 3, and this numeral stands for the number 103, and the numeral itself is called 103. So the numeral 103 stands for the number 103. The name of the numeral is always the same as the name of the number the numeral stands for. Of course, everybody calls numerals like 2, 3, and 103 numbers, and that's okay. Most of the time, the difference between a number and a numeral doesn't matter. It just never comes up. But if these are just numerals that stand for numbers and not numbers themselves, then what are numbers? Unfortunately, nobody really knows. That's right, no one is sure what a number is. After all, we can point to a tree and say, that's a tree, right? And we can point to a star and say, that's a star. And we can point to Janice and say, that's Janice. But we can't point to the number 3 and say, that's the number 3. We can point to the symbol 3, this numeral, and say, that's the number 3, like everyone does, but that's not exactly right either, is it? Because a numeral isn't a number, not really. We can point to the number 3 or any other number because a number isn't like a tree or a star or a person or a numeral. It isn't something we can see or touch or measure in any way. Numbers aren't anything at all. So what do we do? How do we think about numbers if we aren't sure what they are? Good question. To answer it, let me make some circles like this. Now let me make some squares like this. The circles don't look much like squares, but they do have something in common, don't they? The number of circles and the number of squares are the same. There are 3 circles and 3 squares. The circles and squares are equal in number. So even if we can't see or touch the number 3, we do have a good idea of what the number 3 means. Not only that, we have a good idea of what the number 10 means and what the number 510 means, and so on. Okay? Good.